Have you ever had someone in your life suddenly go quiet on you? Maybe they used to text back right away, and now it takes hours or even days. Maybe they stopped sharing what's on their mind. And when you ask if they're okay, they just say, "I'm fine," with that look that tells you they're anything but. Or maybe you've been that person. The one who retreats into silence because words feel impossible. We've all felt it from one side or the other. This heavy quiet that settles between people. But what's actually happening when someone goes silent? What are they really feeling in those moments when they pull away? Psychologists have studied this pattern for decades, and what they've found reveals something deeper than just being busy or needing space. When someone goes silent, it's rarely about nothing. It's almost always about something they don't know how to say, something they're protecting, or something they're trying to survive. Let's talk about what silence actually means. Number 1. They're emotionally flooded and shutting down. Do you know that feeling when there's so much happening inside you that you can't find a single word to describe it? That's emotional flooding, and it's one of the most common reasons people go silent. When someone experiences intense emotions, whether it's anger, sadness, fear, or even overwhelming love, their nervous system can hit a point where it literally cannot process language effectively. Research in neuroscience shows that when your amygdala is activated during emotional overwhelm, the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for communication and rational thought, goes partially offline. It's not a choice. It's a biological shutdown. So when someone goes quiet during an argument or after receiving heavy news, they're not trying to punish you or ignore the situation. Their brain is protecting them from complete overload by temporarily cutting off their ability to articulate what they feel. Maybe you've seen this happen after a fight, where the person just stops responding. Not because they don't care, but because if they tried to speak, nothing would come out right. They might feel like their thoughts are a tangled mess, or like every word they could say would make things worse. Silence becomes the only safe option when the internal chaos is too loud. Number 2. They're protecting themselves from rejection or judgment. Have you ever wanted to say something but stopped yourself because you were terrified of how the other person would react? This is where silence becomes armor. When someone has been criticized, dismissed, or invalidated repeatedly, especially in childhood or past relationships, they learn that speaking up leads to pain, so they stay quiet. Psychologists call this learned helplessness in communication, where someone believes that no matter what they say, it won't change the outcome, or it'll make things worse. If you notice someone going silent specifically when vulnerable topics come up, when they might need to express a need, set a boundary, or share how they really feel, they're probably protecting a wound you can't see. Maybe there was a time when they opened up and got laughed at, or they expressed hurt and were told they were too sensitive. Those moments stick. They teach people that silence is safer than honesty. It's not that they don't trust you specifically, it's that their past has taught them that being seen fully is dangerous. So they hide in quiet, keeping the parts of themselves that feel too raw tucked away where no one can hurt them. The silence isn't empty. It's full of all the things they wish they could say, but are too scared to risk. Number 3. They're processing something too big for words. Does it seem like some experiences are just too heavy to talk about right away? When someone goes through something traumatic, shocking, or deeply transformative, silence often follows. This isn't avoidance. It's integration. The human brain needs time to make sense of significant events, and talking about them before they've been internally processed can actually feel destabilizing. Studies in trauma psychology show that people often need a period of what's called psychological digestion after major life events like loss, betrayal, diagnosis, or even profound realizations about themselves. During this time, they're not ignoring you. They're trying to understand what happened to them before they can explain it to anyone else. Maybe you've noticed someone pull away after a breakup. Not because they're shutting everyone out, but because they're replaying everything in their mind, trying to figure out what was real and what wasn't. Or maybe someone went quiet after losing a loved one because grief is so enormous that small talk feels impossible and deep conversation feels too exhausting. They're in a space between what was and what will be, and that space doesn't have language yet. Silence gives them room to feel without having to perform coherence for anyone else. Number 4. They're dealing with depression or burnout. Are you someone who disappears when life gets hard? This is a hallmark of depression and burnout. When someone is struggling with their mental health, communication often becomes one of the first things to go. It's not personal, it's neurological. Depression affects motivation, energy, and the ability to feel pleasure or connection. a phenomenon called anhedonia. Even texting back a friend or saying, "I'm not okay," can feel like climbing a mountain when your brain chemistry is working against you. Burnout operates similarly, draining someone's emotional reserves until even simple interactions feel like too much. If someone in your life has gone silent, and you know they've been under intense stress, dealing with work pressure, caregiving responsibilities, or just the weight of existing in a difficult season, their silence might be a sign that they're running on empty. They're not choosing to disconnect. They're trying to survive with whatever energy they have left. And sometimes that means letting go of socializing, explaining, even reaching out for help. They might feel guilty about it, ashamed that they can't be the person they used to be. But the silence continues because breaking it feels harder than maintaining it. What they're really feeling is exhaustion so deep that words are a luxury they can't afford. Number 5. They've decided something and don't know how to tell you. Have you spent time with someone who seems distant? Almost like they're already halfway out the door? Sometimes silence isn't about what someone is going through. It's about a decision they've made. When someone has chosen to end a relationship, quit a job, move away, or change something fundamental in their life that will affect you, they often go quiet while they figure out how to say it. This silence has a specific quality to it. It feels like someone is present but not really there, like they're holding something back. And they are. Research on decision-making shows that people often experience cognitive dissonance when they know they need to do something that will hurt someone they care about. The silence is the gap between knowing what they need to do and finding the courage to do it. Maybe you felt this from someone who started responding less, stopped making future plans, or seemed emotionally checked out before they finally told you they were leaving. The silence was them rehearsing the conversation, dreading your reaction, or waiting for the right moment that never quite comes. What they're really feeling is guilt, fear, and the weight of a truth they don't want to speak but know they have to. Number 6. They're asserting a boundary without saying it. Do you notice when someone's silence feels intentional? Almost like a statement? Sometimes, going silent is the boundary itself. When someone has asked for space, expressed a need, or set a limit that wasn't respected, silence can become their way of enforcing it when words didn't work. Psychologists recognize this as a form of self-preservation, especially for people who struggle with direct confrontation or have been conditioned to prioritize others' feelings over their own. If someone goes silent after repeatedly trying to communicate something that was ignored, dismissed, or violated, their silence is them taking back control. It's not passive-aggressive, even though it might feel that way from the outside. It's the last resort of someone who feels unheard. Maybe they told you they needed time alone and you kept texting. Maybe they said a topic was off limits and you kept bringing it up. Maybe they expressed discomfort and you didn't adjust. At some point, they stopped explaining and just stopped engaging. What they're really feeling is a mix of frustration, resignation, and the firm resolve that protecting their peace matters more than managing your reaction to their absence. Number 7. They're mirroring the energy they've received. Does it seem like someone's silence started after you pulled back first? Humans are wired for reciprocity, and silence can be a mirror. If someone feels like they've been the one always reaching out, always initiating, always caring more, they might go quiet to see if the other person notices or steps up. This isn't a game or a test, even though it can look like one. It's often an unconscious response to feeling undervalued. Social psychology research shows that when people perceive an imbalance in effort within relationships, they naturally adjust their investment to match what they're receiving. If someone has gone silent on you and you realize you haven't checked in on them in weeks, haven't asked how they're doing, or haven't shown up in the ways they've shown up for you, their silence might be them stepping back to the level of connection you've been offering. What they're really feeling is a quiet kind of hurt. The kind that comes from realizing you might care more than the other person does. They're not trying to punish you. They're protecting themselves from the disappointment of unreciprocated care. The silence is them giving you space to miss them, to notice their absence, to prove that the relationship matters to you too. Number 8. What silence asks of us. So what do you do when someone goes silent? You can't force someone to talk before they're ready, and you can't interpret their silence as a single thing, because, as we've seen, it holds so many different feelings. But you can pay attention to the context. You can notice patterns. You can ask gently without demanding answers. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is let someone know you see their silence, that you're not going anywhere, and that when they're ready, you'll be there. Other times, you need to respect that their silence is a boundary and give them the space they're asking for without making it about you. If you're the one going silent, know that it's okay to need time, to feel too much, to not have words yet. But also know that people who care about you can't read your mind. When you're ready, even a small signal that you're okay or that you need space can ease the worry that silence often creates. Silence is powerful. It can be healing, protective, necessary. It can also be painful, confusing, lonely. What it's really communicating depends on the person, the moment, and everything that came before. But it's rarely about nothing. And understanding that might be the first step toward finding your way back to connection, whenever that's meant to happen.